Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Slant 3D podcast, the show about 3D printing and our place inside the industry. Today, we're going to be talking about 25,000 parts made at Airbus, an NBA player using 3D printed sneakers, and finishing off with a $5 million investment into a large format printing company. And of course, we'll give you guys updates about teleport and portals, and we are going to unbox and look at about 15 orders that we made from various Etsy stores, and we're going to evaluate their packaging. So all of that and more today on the podcast, but before that, let's go ahead and pay the bills. This episode is brought to you by Teleport. Teleport allows you to plug 1,000 3D printers directly into your Etsy store, e-commerce store, Shopify, TikTok shop, whatever it happens to be. If you are running a 3D printing business and you're feeling overwhelmed, or you just want to spend more time with your family this Christmas season, you should check out Teleport so that you can have all your items and orders printed and shipped straight to your customer for you, so you don't have to do it anymore. You instead can focus on your family or designing awesome new products and learning how to market them better. So check out Teleport and figure out how to get 1,000 printers on tap for your store so that whenever you get an order, it is printed and shipped straight to your customer for you. Check it out at slantpod.com. Alrighty, first piece of news. Per TCT, Airbus is manufacturing 25,000 3D printed parts annually. So, the company says there are more than 200,000 certified polymer parts in active service on Airbus aircraft. According to Stratasys, recent data suggests that the use of 3D printed parts on the Airbus A350 aircraft has resulted in a 43% weight reduction, the elimination of minimum order quantity requirement, and an 85% reduction in lead time. In addition to the A350, Airbus has printed parts for A320 and A400M models. Okay, many of these are Ultem parts. Airbus is understood to have established a distributed manufacturing capability that is allowing the company to produce parts where and when they are needed. Now, this article that I am embellishing a little bit is a paid-for article by Stratasys, but it's still a very relevant article because Airbus doesn't make a lot of planes, and once those planes are built, there are not a need for a large number of spare parts for them. So to have 25,000 parts made per year for Airbus is not insignificant at all. They are most certainly high margin parts, and yes, they're most certainly high performance parts, but the fact that they have been qualified and are being put into use is just a really good industry story. And again, like Stratasys says, 43% reduction in weight, no MOQs, and an 85% reduction in lead time. All of those are useful and save money for people all the way through. But this applies to pretty much all of printing. 3D printing saves lead time, weight, and MOQs basically across the board. In our case, people can order one part from Teleport or they can order 100,000, and both of those operate the same. So it's just really useful. Next piece of news per 3dprint.com. Snapmaker secures Series B backed by Xiaomi, Founders Network, and China's investment elite. Desktop 3D printer manufacturer Snapmaker has gotten a Series B round. We do not know what the amount is. The financing round is not only a valuable supplement of capital, but also a pivotal moment in Snapmaker's evolution from product leadership to a fully developed ecosystem. We will focus on three key areas. First, accelerating core technology R&D to address user pain points in multicolor printing, high-speed fabrication, and more. Second, expanding our global talent networks, especially recruiting top talent in hardware R&D. Third, building a comprehensive ecosystem by collaborating with creators, developers, and supply chain partners to lower the barrier to creation and make 3D printing a universal tool accessible to everyone. That sounds very bamboo-ish. Now, Snapmaker is in that realm, and Snapmaker is a company that has made them much easier to work with, way more reliable, and has made them easier to work with. This idea of 3D printing becoming so ubiquitous that everyone kind of has one, I've never really agreed with. Bamboo wants to move in that direction, and they most certainly have continued to lower the barrier to where 3D printing is closer to an appliance, or at least closer to a band saw than 3D printers were in the past. I didn't used to have to jigger with my band saw. but you still jigger with your bandsaw. Printers as a consumer technology, I don't know if it'll flesh out. I don't know. There's nothing impossible about it. Like, there's nothing that is impossible. So there could be a 3D printer in every home. But when you start putting a 3D printer in every home, you are now competing with Amazon next day delivery. Is a printer really worth it to have whatever limitations it will always have? Or is it just a really good tool? And I think the answer is it will settle out as a really good tool. Because even right now, inside of 3D printing, bamboo is big, but 3D printing as an industry is worth about $20 billion. Woodworking tools are worth about $65 billion. So there's plenty of room for 3D printing to grow based on that, but it's nowhere close to being a ubiquitous home technology. Hill House is not a VC, but they're going through all this stuff. They do not say, are likely to help it scale and internalize. Yeah, Xiaomi can help with manufacturing while working towards a potential possible IPO and staying friends with the government. Yeah, okay, so people think that this is sort of a general one. Snapmaker is a major Kickstarter success story, raising $7.8 million in 2019 for the Snapmaker 2.0 and record-breaking $20 million this year for its U1. The company said it has done extensive user-led innovation guided by user interviews and feedback submitted to it. The low material waste U1 architecture is indeed an impressive 3D printer, yada, 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 all the things. We're not endorsing anybody here. Okay, Snapmaker makes tool changer machines. They're one of them. They are a well-designed machine. Like, if Snapmaker had pushed on it a little bit more heavily, they could have been the Tesla of 3D printing ahead of bamboo. But they didn't get there quick enough. Okay, next piece of news. That's the Snapmaker. Jaylen Brown has shook the basketball industry by using 3D printed sneakers. Now, here's the case. These sneakers are made by Zellerfeld and are produced for Jaylen Brown for his brand 741, which is his personal brand that he has personally lost $50 million in order to create. Let me give some context here. So, Boston Celtics champion and NBA MVP Jaylen Brown is experimenting with 3D printing performance footwear. Before the Celtics' December 5th matchup against the LA Lakers, Brown walked into the arena carrying an early 3D printed prototype from his brand 741, developed in collaboration with Zellerfeld, and he planned his right hand, while his left hand held 741 sneakers, he planned to wear for the game. So, he didn't end up wearing them in the game. That would have been a big deal. But what Brown is doing is he's very involved with his brand 741, and they're explicitly trying to create technologically advanced gear. So rather than taking sponsorships from someone like Nike, Brown is creating his own brand, which is really sharp and really smart. But he's doing it, one of the things that he's pushing on is trying to make a pair of Zellerfeld sneakers that can be worn on the court, which is tough to do because Zellerfeld sneakers have always been kind of fashion sneakers. And obviously Zellerfeld is continuously improving them, but they're not that tough yet. They're dealing with layer lines effectively and the stress concentrations that happen along the layer lines. But even that being said, this is a fantastic win. And can I just say, Zellerfeld has been doing an awesome job in the last year. They have had Bieber. They've had Jaylen Brown. They've had the Herons before. Zellerfeld has been working amazingly, establishing themselves as a shoe brand, not as a 3D printing company. They are a shoe brand enabled by the technology of 3D printing. And that is so powerful in the fact that they've actually done that and have been pushing on it continuously. Okay, chat, I will be getting to you in just a moment. Go ahead, put down any questions about these stories, but we are going to finish up the news here. There's one more article to get through. 3D printing startup from Missouri Accelerator eyes over $10 million in 2026 revenue. So, this is Printerior. Printerior, if you are not familiar with, they have done recycled filament in the past, making different materials and that kind of thing. But currently, they are pushing on doing large format 3D printing. Large format printing has been up and coming for the last couple of years. There's a number of companies messing with it, especially around furniture and interior design. It is a great space to be in because architecture designers have recognized the value of printing and the value of creating a chair that's bespoke to a hotel or a conference room or a company to really design their interior spaces, not just by picking furniture, but creating furniture, especially if they're meant to be like park bench sort of furniture. Printerior is working on doing that. And they have been selling filament now for a few years since they got spun out. But they started, the founders started as an accelerator program where they'd raised $5,000 to chase down recycled filament back a few years ago. In 2021, received a $50,000 grant from the St. Louis ARC Grants Program, which allowed Esser and Seidel to open their first feedstock production facility. Since then, Printerior has continuously evolved, progressing from materials manufacturer and supplier to also operating a print farm. They got a print farm too. They have their material, so they use their print farm to continue to produce more items with their material. Okay, so this is just really great to see. They're estimated to do $4 million in revenue here in 2025, and they think they're going to do $10 million in 2026, which is a fantastic growth rate, especially for a hardware manufacturing startup. So good for them. Again, just a lot of success stories this week. It's really exciting to see these guys coming up and 3D printing accelerating. Snapmaker raising a bunch of money. Printerior doing well on revenue. Zellerfeld expanding and having really key partnerships that are significant. And the fact that Zellerfeld is working with Nike to produce shoes on behalf of Nike. All of these are wins and are just proof of the industry starting to mature and really push in a direction that's useful. Over the next 2 or 3 years, there's just going to be so much growth. And in a future podcast, we will do projections for 2026 and what we think will probably happen then as we go along. All right, that is that. I'm going to check in with chat here real fast and see what you all have. So questions from the audience, here we go. All righty, everybody. What printer should I get for Print Farm to start? So the printers for print farms, I am biased. I don't believe that people should buy off-the-shelf machines. They work and they can be done. A lot of people are, yes, using a lot of the bamboo machines. Out of Darts uses A1. Wiglets uses the P1S and P1P. H2D, all the rest of them. It depends on what you're doing if you want to build it out. If you're building fewer than 10 machines, grab whatever machine you want. All the machines right now are really quite good. So the choice of which one is right is indifferent. But also just realize that the printers are going to need replaced in like 18 to 24 months. Because right now 3D printers are designed to be consumer hardware. So they basically go bad after a little while of operation. A lot of people estimate like 10,000 hours on a printer, which is only about a year and a half of really continuous operation. So that's a thing to be aware of. You could call it stopping midstream and people might take notice. Snapmaker, you won. The video on brims was great. Thank you so much. Appreciate that, Rick. Okay. Let's see here. One more question. I want to know your opinion about farming versus reverse engineering service. Which one is profitable for your opinion? Both print farming and reverse engineering or engineering services are terrible business models. And I know that because I've done both. Currently operate one of the largest print farms in the world. And historically, I worked in product design and engineering. It's a terrible business model. It works fine. If you're a solo person starting out, it's a fine place to start out, but it's a terrible business model because it does not scale and it works you to death, both of them. Print farms, it's all about process control and scale. So our print farm would be a terrible business model. But the thing is, like, the amount of effort and investment that we put into it right now is all fixed. But now the print farm can grow without adding more people or more effort or more software or building new things. Like Teleport could have 10,000 more new users tomorrow or 100,000 new users tomorrow, and it would be fine. And the print farm could take more people, and we could have more people inside the factory. But we don't have to spend more. But print farms that are small don't have that. You're just a chair maker. You're an artisan. So it's not a very good business model in that regard. Okay, are the layer lines on 3D printed parts comparable to or more noticeable than the parting lines found on injection molded parts? The layer lines on 3D printed parts are as pronounced as the grain in wood. And that is the way to think about them. 3D printed parts are like the grain in wood. You design around them and you make them appear however you want. If you don't want the native 3D printed layer line look, apply a texture to it. Textures are free inside of 3D printing. So you can give it a diamond rastering pattern, a knurled pattern. You can give it fuzzy skin. You can give it bubbles and bulbs. You can do whatever you want for a surface finish on any of these parts. And now the base texture of printed parts doesn't exist anymore. The whole thing of like, oh, smooth is good is complete BS. Injection molds have to be smooth. The more polished the mold, the better it functions. It is an engineering defect of molds that they can't make textures, and they are forcing parts into smooth textures. So it's not because stuff is good or anything else. What is good as far as a surface appearance is completely a fashion statement. It has nothing to do with engineering or human taste. It has to do with the fashion of the moment. So printing is not, layer lines don't matter. Design around them and apply textures where you can because the technology lets you do it. All right, print farm down the road from me uses Prusa machines. One of people involved with it also co-wrote 3D printing for dummies. Good for them. That's great. Prusas have been used in print farms a lot historically. Prusa obviously has their own print farm, but it's mainly a marketing technique. I have no idea how current Prusa machines operate in print farms. Again, I know an example is like Out of Darts. He does Nerf accessories and has a pretty large print farm. He used to use all Prusa minis, and he's moved entirely to A1 minis. And this is partially because of the transition. I don't know where Prusa is right now in the whole conversation. But Prusa is coming back, but Prusa is also in kind of a find themselves sort of a stage, seems like. What's your opinion on the H2C? I don't review 3D printers, guys. I have no opinion about any of these machines. I do not care. We don't endorse machines. It's not my job to tell people what machines are good or useful, and that's outside of my purview. I'm not a machine reviewer. We operate a print farm, and we talk to people about how to design good 3D printed parts. The machine should be irrelevant. Alrighty, them's the questions for the day. Alrighty, let's go move it into company updates. Now, here we are, 1722. Okay, so updates on stuff inside of Slant 3D. So Teleport. In this last week, Teleport has been keeping up with orders. So there's the spike in orders at the beginning of December has come through. We've been maintaining that. Orders are still going out in under 3 days on average. A few orders go to like 5 days if you have 10 or 20 parts inside of there. But keeping up very well. We can continue to take more. Again, our main factory is spec'd out for a few thousand machines. So we're good. We got you covered and we planned for this. So everything is teed up and operating well. We've had a number of users come through who are just like, I got 1,000 orders and I need help right now. So we're helping them, and those surges mess with stuff a little bit for a moment, but we're helping them get out the door. But yeah, if you have like a need for rush orders, we can get you turned on immediately. I would say, like literally, there's been a few people who are like, I have too many orders, I need to shut down the store. Don't do that. The correct strategy is to put items into pre-orders or just call us, because we can get you onboarded to Teleport in under 3 hours. As in, you email us, we respond to you. You say, I don't know how to use Teleport. We say, okay, let's get on a phone call. We'll walk you through the 15 minutes of setting up Teleport, and then you're set up. So from contact to us helping you and you being set up and rolling is like 3 hours total if you are not able to do it yourself. If you do it yourself, Teleport can be turned on in like 30 minutes and printing orders for you. It is that quick and easy. With Teleport, there is a design refresh coming. So it's finalizing, actually it's being finalized about today or so. But we will be pushing a new skin effectively to Teleport that should improve the UI, make it a lot clearer, more concise, nicer, just throughout the whole thing. It'll be tightened up. Because the Teleport UI right now is basically kind of the original UI with modifications. We've done cleanup on it before, but like this is a full rebuild. We just tearing off its skin and put it on a new one. But it will just makes it a lot nicer. It's a little bit brutalist in the design as a heads up of it all, but it's fine because like Teleport has always had that motif and Slant 3D has that motif. We may allow another scan at some point in the future to where you can toggle between your styles, sort of like what you do with Portal stores. Portals, shipping out those orders, plenty of people making money over there. Let's see here. Shipping is good. Teleport, there will be a couple of new features coming around memberships, but I'll leave that there. Tangled filament. Tangled filament, yes. So for tangled filament, we released gray last week. So you now have $10 per kilogram for black and $10 per kilogram for gray. Make sure you become a member and make sure you buy the members only filament. It was funny. We had a few people come through and buy this stuff, and they became a member, and then they go and buy the non-member stuff, so they got billed an extra $1, and we had to refund them whatever, the $3, because non-member stuff's a little bit more expensive. But anyhow, alrighty, let's see here. That's up with Tangled. All right, any other questions? People coming through in chat? All right, that's fine. Here we go. You know, at the beginning of this show, I had said that I was going to talk slower. And then I know in the last several sections, I got faster again. Here's the thing. We cut shorts from this podcast, and I want them to be paced in such a way to where this section could be vertical cut right from here and then put into shorts. But then I have to get it in under a minute, and I have to speak in such a way to where it gets in under a minute. I wonder, I'm going to slow it back down, but like I'm hesitant because the slowed down delivery is going to mess with our shorts. But we'll cut out slow speeds and try to get to more points and try to do hooks and stuff. Okay, right. For anybody who's interested, we're going to do an interview with the CEO of Mosaic Manufacturing here at the end of this all. But before that, we're going to do an unboxing. So, right here, got a whole box of parts. There are about 10 orders here. What we did is we wanted to know how people are running their Etsy stores right now. So we went through and we bought items from a whole bunch of different Etsy stores, and we wanted to see what their packaging was, what their print quality was, and how fast the orders got here, so we can make sure that when we start working with them, eventually, that everything inside of Teleport works correctly. And actually, if somebody is watching me upstairs, what I need is an order from Teleport with the blue box and blue insert paper, because I don't think that's included inside of this. So Parker, if you're watching, I'm going to need that. But before that, let's go ahead and just unbox a few of these orders. And I'll make sure that I don't show any address information and that kind of stuff. But a few of these were opened by both myself and the team before, but this is going to be the first kind of reaction to a few of these. So we had a theme. We were like, we only want to buy cookie cutters for Christmas because we want to see what those stores are doing, because a lot of people make cookie cutters through Teleport and portals. But we wanted to see packaging, what the print quality was, and everything else. So this packaging right here, standard, pretty standard looking stuff. This is from Ain't She Sweet Cutters. Standard 4x4 U-line box, which is interesting. There is no exterior packaging. There is a packing slip, and this packing slip printed on a standard printer. Oh, handwritten note. Thanks for your order. I hope this is a big hit with a signature. That's nice. And then a highlight of what all the items were as they were checking it off, but printed off on a standard printer. So they're not using a thermal label printer yet. But here is the cutter. The cutter has a smooth bottom, which means it wasn't done on a textured bed. This might actually be like a Prusa print. But the print quality looks really, really good right there. You can see this little snowman cutter. It has a knife sharpened up on top, which is good. That's what you want for cookie cutters, but it's still thick. It's like 1 millimeter thick. So that's great. No stringing or nothing. It all looks good. Yeah, packaging could use a little bit of work, but that looks fine. Yeah, normally our stuff comes, when we ship stuff, we ship it in a white box with blue insert paper. That's crinkle paper, so it looks really premium. All right, let's see here. What do we got here? This is, I'm not going to say the name. I don't know what store it's from. Hold on a second. This is from Mike's Cookie Cutters on Etsy. Again, standard sheet. No note. No note from Mike. This is fine. All right, let's see here. Insert vacuum deal. A little bit of blue tissue paper. This is what it looks like on the inside there. Ooh, this is bamboo print. I think this, I'm not sure if this is bamboo print actually. A little bit of like schmutzten on the side. I mean, it doesn't matter. It's perfectly fine cookie cutter. This is a standard 1 millimeter thickness, no sharpness on the top. I like when the cookie cutters come to a tip. But doing it round like this, where it's just a flattened top right here, it's fine. You just need, just need a few. Got to make sure it's printed reliably, and you got to push a little bit harder on the dough to get it out. Oh, there's an insert card. There's a thank you card in here, business card. Customer feedback is very important. Honest reviews are appreciated. Please showcase your cookies. Mike's at Mike's Cookie Cutters on Instagram. And then there's contact at Matt. Yeah. Hand wash with cool water only because it's a PLA cutter. This is a business card. I would say, Mike, if you're watching this, put a QR code on here rather than just your Instagram. And that way people can get to you easier. But it's a white box. Oh, and it has a stamp on the side, which is a good way of doing kind of packaging quick and easy. Okay. That's pretty good. That's, hold on here. I gotta see, I'm gonna tier rank these things. I wanna make sure that I'm hitting them all right. All right. Okay. I'd say, let's see here. If I was ranking this one, cookie cutter, I'd probably I'm gonna put this at like middle ground of like C tier because the cookie cutter is really good, but the packaging of it leaves some to be desired. So I'm gonna leave it at like a C. And then Mike's cookie cutters here, I'm gonna go ahead and put, I would say the packaging is pretty good. I'm actually gonna put this at the same one because I think the cookie cutter is less, not as good as the other one, but the packaging is a little bit better. But I would say that kind of evens it out. So I'd say this is C tier 2. Okay, let's see here. Another new one. Oh, I'm gonna need a knife. Parker, if you're watching that, I need a knife and a teleport box. Okay, let's see here. We got a new one. This one is from Sweet Prince Inc. I'm gonna hold it this way so that we're not showing any addresses or stuff on camera. This is just a little one. Little angel there. So I would say if we were printing this, this wouldn't be allowed. This can't go out the door. Please focus. Stupid thing going up. Manual focus again. Okay. Right here. Stay on autofocus. Stupid thing. 1 second. We're going to autofocus right there. There we go. Okay, so you can see there's these little speckles on the back side of it all. Those would be cut out, and they're stringing across the wing, which isn't great. But insert card. Ooh, this is a really nice insert card. I like this card quite a bit, and that focus is also still jacked up. Okay, so it's got standard PLA. It's got a mark of which type of PLA it is. This is a really nice card. Like, this is a very nice card. SweetPrinceInc.com. And then the Instagram and everything else. Again, QR code, guys. You need a QR code. The packaging itself, little white box, brown insert paper, which I'm not a fan of. Get something colored. And the cookie cutter isn't like in a bag or anything. It's just sort of loose in there, which isn't always the greatest. But it's a nice box. Man, this card is really nice. But the rest of it isn't that great. So I'm actually going to put this at D tier, because if the print quality isn't very good, it shouldn't go out. It's also printed at a 0.3 resolution, so I'm not sure if I'm a fan of that. Okay. Next one. We got this one. This is Baker's Cutters and Prints. So, mailer, which is a good way to kind of potentially lower costs sometimes, but very often not. They're using a thermal label printer, which is good, with a thank you note on there, which is very nice of them. And they have a coupon code down at the bottom for your next order, which is also a really good idea. Yeah, so I bought the shark one inside of a little wrapper bag. This is really nice touch because it just feels better. Print quality is good. The top, oh man, every one of these has a different cutting blade. One has an angled one is flat, another one is thinner. This one is fat base and then a thin rectangular top. So it never comes to a point, it's just thin up here at the top. The print quality is really good. This looks like it's probably a bamboo machine. Packaging is on theme because this is green and this is green. I like that. I don't think I picked the color. I did not pick the color. They just shipped green cookie cutters. So good for them. There's no contact information to follow up with them, which is not the greatest. Let's see here. I'm going to go ahead and make this. I'm going to put it, I don't know. All of these, I'm going to say C tier. I'm going to say C tier. I think it's the same, which is green. All right. All right. This one. This is from, I don't know. Ooh, candy. Ooh, piece of candy. Yeah, they have a little candy here. Please leave feedback. We'd love to hear from you. I like this idea. This is packaging inside of packaging, but this candy has them read the review request explicitly as they're going for the candy, and they'll do it later on after they go for the cookie cutter. I'm gonna pull out my cookie cutter. It is a Mickey Mouse cutter. On the outside, it has a sticker that says hand wash only. That is great. And then let's see here. It's white quality. It's an angled top cookie cutter, which is good. I like this packaging. Having the cutter in a packaging is great. It's a seal rather than a zip tie, which is fine. The print quality looks really good. There's a little bit of a hair up here, but like that's not a big deal. That looks really good. What's the rest of the stuff look like? And then here's the packing slip. Using a regular printer. It's so weird that the packing slip is printed separately when the thermal printer is right here. No notes. No notes for a new person. Okay, well, fair enough then. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. There's not a lot of brand on this, but this candy puts it over the edge again. Like each one of these has one thing about it that's like really good. Like one had a really good insert card. This guy has a candy. The other ones make really good print quality. I'm gonna redo Mike's cookie cutters. Mike's cookie cutters has so many good things about it, except that the cookie cutter isn't in its own packaging. But he did tissue paper that matches and is on brand. And he does have the insert card. So I'm gonna move him up to B tier. B tier, and everybody else is still at C. Yeah, I'm getting the vibe for what my ranking system is here. Hey Parker, I need a knife and a teleport example. Okay, let's see here. This one, who is this from? Eon Garden. So pink or purple thing right here. Shipped with Rollo. Oh, that's not great. So this is an envelope that comes standard with a Rollo printer, which is not what you want to go for. Brown paper, not a problem. Oh, this is not a cookie cutter. This is a VESA mount for a monitor. You got a little set of screws right there. We can do this for you too, by the way, inside of Teleport. Print quality is fine for a PETG part. You have a bit of elephant footing right there. So the bed might have been a little bit out of whack. Ooh, there's warp. There's warp right there. It's subtle, but it is there. This doesn't hurt the function of the part, and I wouldn't be mad about it, but like this wouldn't go out of our building because that warp would be more than our spec for warp on a machine. That side has a little bit of warp too. There's also this stringiness on the inside. There's a string dangling right there and some strings around the inside. It could just be cleaned up more. Some stringing over there. So it's a PETG part that could have used some more processing. It's probably busy with the Christmas season, so I get that. There's no branding. I don't think there's packing slip. I'm not seeing a packing slip. Maybe it got lost when somebody else opened it. But okay. I'm gonna put that in D tier. I'm gonna put that in D. Yeah, because that's like it's a part in an envelope that I would have gotten from eBay or something. It's not really like a store. I might even go lower. No, I'll go D. Okay. Let's see here. All right, this one. Is this really one? Oh, yeah. Okay. This is Ansgar Labs in Minnesota. Okay. We've got standard. These types of mailers aren't like super common, so I'm glad they use that. You got packing lists printed on a regular printer, so that you can go pick the orders of what it was. And then, oh, this packing slip is printed from Etsy. That's why everybody prints on these sheets. Package. It's a a heat-sealed bag with all the parts inside. They're printed at like a 0.3. They're printed with a bamboo machine. And they have a sticker across the top. Veteran-owned, American-made. Good for them. These are like light holder clips. Yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, like the packaging, the individual packaging for these sets is pretty darn good. That way they can pre-prep a bunch of inventory. I would say, I don't know how I'm gonna rate this. There's no branding on it. It's a fairly standard package. It's industrial, so I'm kind of gonna give them a break on it. But no, it can be better. It can be better. This could go. I'm gonna put it at C tier because I think for functionalist stuff it's fine. But like, there's no link to the Instagram. There's no QR code. The packing slip is fine, but like, there's no identity to this, which isn't great. Okay, let's try this again. Sugar Inspired. This is from Sugar Inspired. This is your cookie cutters because this is a great little box. This is a very intentionally selected box. Let's go ahead and open this up. Okay. I like this box. That type of box is nice. It's easy to open, everything else. Standard sort of packing slip, printed in color. Highlighted that they got the orders. Don't see any notes from it. Oh, look at this. I got its sticker closed with the tissue paper. That's really nice. Okay, I'm gonna tear this carefully, like I'm a person who saves wrapping paper. Okay, right here. Oh, here is the cutter. Ooh, nice. So tissue paper, cutter's nestled inside of there beautifully. Cutter in its own individual packaging. Cutter print quality. Looks like the cutter could have been hit with the heat gun a little bit. There's stringing inside the lettering to where it like needs gone over with a blowtorch or something. That being said, there's a note inside of here. Ooh, a couple notes. Oh, hey! So this is an instruction card, and it says, hand wash, don't soak in hot water, don't put it in dishwasher, don't use on hot cookies. This is fair. It's a PLA cookie cutter. You don't want to do that. There's nothing on the back. If they'd gone two-sided, they could have had a QR code to a site. Oh, sugar cookie recipe. This is a great idea. If you are selling cookie cutters, you should include a cookie cutter recipe. We, on Teleport, we did a custom insert card to where you can set a custom card for any given item. So if somebody ordered this cookie cutter, that card could print out this recipe and send it along with them and have a QR code and everything else. But link back to your socials, link back to your website, give the discount code. Again, everybody has like one of the things, but they don't have all of the things. This one, print quality is fine. It's not amazing. Like the cutter, I wouldn't say is super well designed. It's a 1 millimeter thick upper part. It doesn't come to a taper, and then you have the stamp included with it. But it's still good. Like, it's a good print quality. It's not bad. I'm nitpicking everything because I'm trying to get some rankings to people here. I'm gonna put this one in B tier, maybe even A. Actually, I'm gonna give it A tier because it's really clear instructions with a recipe here. It's good for the customer, and the customer has a great unboxing experience pulling this out of the packaging and everything else. Now, you as a business could include discount code and QR codes and those kind of things, and that would have made it better. But overall, this is really good. So good job to Sugar Inspired. Yeah, this is really good packaging. All right, let's see here. What's next? 3D Bake Shop. You know how I know that? They got a sticker on the box that says 3D Bake Shop. Good idea. Super cheap to buy stickers to put on your stuff, and then stickers can also be giveaways in the stuff. They even have another sticker that says smile, you've got happy mail. I like that. Also, really good box. A mailer is always a win. These mailers are expensive. Here's the thing, like this box cost maybe like 15 cents, I think. This box costs like 60 cents. That's the difference that we're talking about. Oh, okay. The paper is not colored. Dinging that a little bit. But, thank you card for your purchase. Use code thank you for 15% off. Care card, hand wash with soap and warm water and allow to air dry. So instructions. Your order made my day. I hope this package makes yours. A thank you card. So you have a discount card, a thank you card. I think these two could have been combined, so you could save yourself a little bit of effort on that. But good heavens, look at this. This is amazing. Look at that. Oh my gosh. And then you have, pull it out, you have another bag inside of the Artie bag. Like this is a great touch. If the cookie cutter was just in this, I would have been tickled. But like, you have this zip-locked vinyl bag with a window on the front, so you can see the cutter inside of there. And then you have, oh good heavens. Oh no! This is an exceptional print. But there's hairs on the lettering because it hasn't been hit with a heat gun. This is like default profile to where most of the stringing is gone because everything's tuned in, and this is definitely a bamboo machine because it's also multicolor. But that's incredible. This handle is glued on. This handle is glued on. They print it like this, and then they glue this handle on afterwards. Bravo. They're using also not a purely textured print bed. They're using a smooth print bed, but it is a bamboo printer. Great print quality, like 0.2 resolution, same as Teleport. Multicolor. I appreciate the multicolor, even though it's totally unnecessary for a cookie cutter. But I appreciate the taste of that. Like, all of this is beautiful. This is really, really good. A packaging, customer presentation, everything else. I'm gonna, is it an S? No, it can't be S. Somebody has to be perfect all the way through to get an S. And there's stringing on the cookie cutter there. So I'm gonna give this A. I'm gonna give this an A tier. This is 3D Bake Shop. Really, really great customer experience. Hold on, do I have the receipt? No, the receipt isn't in it. Oh, I remember buying this. This cookie cutter was $4. 3D Bake Shop, raise your prices. Double your prices. Because you can. Like, this is a premium experience. But you are not charging an appropriate premium for your orders. Double your prices, otherwise you're gonna go broke. Because the amount of effort that you put into this is not even worth the $2 of profit that you get off of it. Like the packaging, everything else, it's all premium, but you are losing money. Okay, let's see here. Let's see new ones. Parker, you haven't come down here yet. I need you, Parker. I need a teleport order, and I need a knife. Okay, let's see here. I'm gonna push this hard. Wait a second. We got knives and stuff around here. There's knives in the studio. Okay, here we go. I'll get back to that. Let's see here. This is regular envelope. Let's see what's got going. I can't get into these. They're impossible. Okay. Standard mailer. I'm down for that. This is what's inside. So you got packing list. HCO Shack Creations, cookie, clay cutter, Derek Kirk. Okay, so we got a directions card with a QR code down at the bottom. Good for them. QR code to like our Facebook page. And then we have the packing slip, which is printed from Etsy, with a note from Matt saying thank you. This thing costs $4. Okay. We have the box. This is a nice cookie cutter box. I like this cookie cutter box. Really strong tape holding it closed. And then let's see here for everybody to see. Open up the box for the first time. Wrapped in bubble wrap, which I appreciate. Folded 4 ways. Okay, so this is interesting. This is the exact same handle as the other cookie cutter that I just saw. Who is making these cookie cutters? Does anybody in chat know what's up? Because, like, I need to know who is making these. Because this is, again, a glued-on handle for the stamp. Definitely a bamboo print. Definitely the same outline. This is a 0.5 thick cutter, which is fine, but again, I would go thicker and then put a knife at the top. It's a dragonfly. It looks good. The packaging was really good. I wouldn't want this in bubble wrap. I would want this in a bag inside of there. Because there's no way that the bubble wrap is like protecting it. It doesn't do anything. But insert cards are good. Packing list is good. The box is good. Like ultimately, it's quite good. I'm gonna give this B tier because it is better than most, and it has a QR code inside of it. But still, it's not like uber good. It's like too much packing material for what is paid for it. Like you can do a bag in a box, and that would be fine. But they're not doing that. All right, let's see here. What is this? Oh, okay. So brown bag, which is. Oh, this is an international order, I think. No, it's coming from New Jersey. Interesting mailer bag. Custom box for Bakerology. On the back of it. Oh, Bakerology is based. Oh. I think they're using a third-party fulfillment logistics company. Because the box on the back says manufactured in the United Kingdom. And I think Bakerology is based in the United Kingdom. Or there's multiple languages here. They say dishwasher safe. Dublin, Ireland, Bakerology.com. Designed and made in London, United Kingdom. They're pre-packing these and sending them to a third-party logistics company who then ships them on through. Okay, opening it up. This is the box. Custom tissue paper. Bakerology, I believe, has like 100,000 cumulative sales. I also don't think they were very cheap. So custom tissue paper. Wax paper bag. This is a good idea. This is a really good idea. I think I'm going to have to steal this from them because a wax paper bag is an excellent idea. Seals really well. This envelope right here. Oh my goodness. And inside they have essential tips. Your cutters are designed for dough that is 5 millimeters thick. Try rolling yours out. Coat the cutters generously with flour. Use recipes free from raising agents to get the best looking cutters. Visit our website with the QR code. Packed by Bakerology. And then here are multiple other QR codes for the thing. That's great job, guys. And the cutter itself. Interesting. It's a nativity scene. Nativity is drawn on the first layer. I would change that right away. I'm not sure what kind of printer made this. I don't think it's a bamboo. I don't think this is a bamboo. I think this might be a Prusa print farm. Or even Creality or something like that. It's good print quality. Like it is cleaned up. It looks great. All the things. This is really good. What would I improve on this? Nothing. They're an international store. They shipped fast. They're using a third-party logistics company. They have a link to the website for more stuff. They don't have a discount code for me. I'm not sure Bakerology. They ship internationally, so they have 3 different languages on this. Scan here for tasty recipes and baking instructions. Recipes. This is the correct thing. This is all correct. Oh goodness heavens. I'm giving this S tier. I'm giving Bakerology S tier. It's custom packaging all the way through. It's really well thought out. Their pricing is good. They're pros. That's professional. Like that's fantastic. That's somebody who knows what they're doing. No wonder they have 100,000 sales. Everything they're doing is correct. All right, let's see here. This order, okay, white box. This is from Camellia Cutters. So white box, open up, literature mailer, win, okay. Nice fold. Ooh, paper, nice. Brown crinkle paper. Like guys, this is what a teleport box looks like. This is almost identical to teleport orders, except we use blue crinkle paper rather than brown. There is something in here. There's a card, a sticker in here. We are happy you found us. Be sure to follow us on Instagram. Thank you so much. Nice little card. No QR code. Very good packaging otherwise. Down at the bottom is the packing slip from Etsy. With lots of details, may require to be cutter. Okay, uses cutter with a lot of stuff. Not dishwasher safe. It's PLA cutter. Cutter contained inside of a little baggie. It looks good. There's some stringiness off the tail of the fish. It's too subtle probably to see on camera, but like there's stringing right there. The rest of it looks excellent though. for this stamp. This looks great. This is really good. But is it as good as the Bakerology? No, it's not as good as the Bakerology because Bakerology has a custom box. This fold is fantastic. The crinkle paper is fantastic. This matches like a teleport box. No, this is great. And they have everything in there, but it's not QR codes, so I don't think it's quite there. I'm gonna give this an A tier. It's A tier, but it's not S. Bakerology still is owning it right now. I gotta be firm. Gotta be firm. All right. Okay. We're gonna get into this one. This one is from Tracy. Okay. What do we got? Okay. Blue bag. Blue bag is good. That's a good sign of branding. Bubble wrap, not a good sign. Other people have other things inside there first. Bubble wrap is nice. The bubble wrap is justified because of inside here. It's not really that necessary, but it is a thing. Wax paper wrap, nice. Wax paper wrap is nice. The wax paper is a good idea. We may have to do that for teleport. That looks nice. The cutter is reasonable quality. Ooh, weird bed pattern. It's like a bed pattern with like specifically patterned pockmarks on it. Like a PEI that was perfect rather than kind of the messy sort of PEI. The top is fine. This is a cookie cutter. That is all good. There's no other insert cards. I don't know even what the store is. I have the name of the person back here, but I don't know what the store is. I don't know if I can endorse this. The things to improve is you need insert cards telling people how to use it and how to get in contact with you. I would get rid of the bubble wrap because you already have bubble wrap in the mailer, so I think it's redundant. Maybe just do some colored tissue paper that matches your blue, so it's consistent all the way through. The print quality is fine. It's not like exceptional because it is printed at like a 0.3, 0.2 resolution or so, so it's not like amazing or super high res. It's also a standard red rather than like a branded red, so I'm not sure if I'm okay with that. But like this, I'm sorry, you don't have the insert cards, so I'm gonna have to rank this D or E. I think I'm gonna take this down to E. That might be harsher compared to one I did before, but I'm gonna put this at E. I'm sorry. Like the bar is really hot. Okay. Let's see here. Let's see what Chad has to say real fast. Okay. Well. Okay. I will be back in just a moment, guys. We're gonna cut right here. We'll get to those in just a moment. That's a little bit of tangled teleport stuff. All right. We're gonna go through the last couple packages, and there is the one final one right here, which is this little 4x4 box. This is from HG Sweet Cutters. Oh wait, didn't we do this already? Didn't I already have an HG Sweet? We did. Okay, never mind. I've seen this one before. Well, let's open it up, see what they look like between different orders, because consistency is everything. So it's a Uline 4x4x4 box. And this is another. Oh, it's a different snowman with nothing else inside of there. Wait. Oh, repeat business. Oh yeah, they noticed that I had ordered two. Cool. Would have been cool if they had done that, but okay. So now, in order to show off what teleport stuff looks like. So, the A tier brand we had was Bakerology, who goes from here into tissue paper, into insert cards with a wax paper envelope coming into here. The second one, the second best one, was right here, which is cookie cutter with a fabric bag, nylon vinyl bag, wrapped in tissue paper, that kind of stuff. And then there was one other one, the fish. The fish I remember. Okay, right here was a white box, brown paper on the inside, tan cutter on the inside with a couple of insert cards that weren't quite right. So if you were ordering through Teleport or Portals, this would be the box that you would get. So you would get a white box. You have the blue, Teleport blue interior crinkle paper. And then whatever your item is would be inside of a baggie. All the different items get thrown into the bag, or multiple different bags. Thrown inside of here, and then you have a 4x6 shipping label that would either be the packing list, or you can do custom insert cards that go with this, so that you can have QR codes and instructions and everything else inside of there. And then this all gets closed, basically like this, without the hair coming out the side. And that would be a teleport order. So, based on this ranking, Bakerology takes it because they have all their branding all over the place, and all of this is just so bespoke and focused. We're not able to do that yet. So I would say we are definitely A tier with everybody else. And I didn't think that was going to be the case. I thought that a lot of the Etsy stores, since they're so focused on what they're doing, that they would have higher quality packing stuff, but like Teleport stuff is better packing materials than most Etsy stores because it just looks intentional. You have the bag, you have the blue paper, which is a color that's not brown, a white box, and a very intentional insert card that you can custom print out with all kinds of different designs and stuff on there. So that's a big deal. This was interesting because I didn't know that we have worked really, really hard to make sure that Teleport packaging is really intentional and really great because we know people are running their Etsy stores through us and we want their customers to have an awesome unboxing experience. I don't think we're fully there yet because there's a number of things that we're working on to improve even more, but this is the type of box that you get through Teleport, and it's very, very good, especially compared to what a lot of people are doing DIY because they don't know where to find certain boxes. They don't know the stuff to include. Just the fact that this is here, you can get a template from us of these insert cards that have things like QR codes, information, recipes. Like there's a blog post, I think, where we share a Google Drive template for this so that you can have that design. And we'll share more and more. And those are free. You can get a hold of those. To have insert cards, I think you have to be a premium Teleport user, but that's it. Alrighty, chat, we'll get to you in just a second, but let's go ahead and wrap it up. This last part of the podcast was an interview with the CEO of Mosaic. We have known each other for a little while, and Mosaic is an interesting company because they started off with multicolor accessories for printers way back, almost 10 years ago. And they have since pivoted and evolved into industrial machinery for 3D printing. So enjoy this conversation, and I'll see you guys all next week. But how's it going, man?
I'm good, thank you. Everything's good. You're a very blurry man to me. I assume that that doesn't matter because you're recording the.
Yes, that's what
Okay,
it goes
okay.
for. So yeah, it lets us see each other. However, the internet will let us be seen, but it's actually recording it in the back end there.
Nice,
So yeah,
nice. No, I'm good. Thank you. Everything's great. Heading out to
good,
Form Next in a couple weeks, so the kind of
nice,
ground we're grinding away now. But things are
nice.
good. How are you? We haven't actually caught up in a little bit.
I know it's been a while. We're doing well. Getting ready for the Christmas season and that kind of stuff. So it's ramping up right now, and then November 1st we'll flip a switch, and we won't come up for air until whatever middle of January. So
Yeah.
that'll be what that'll be. Uh, but yeah, for the talk today, are there any things that you want to like go over? Because I was going to do a little bit of corporate history and then like what you guys are doing with Array and that kind of stuff. But is there anything else new or different that you think should be
Yeah.
focused on?
Yeah, as a company, we're like laser focused now on big applications, like not like
Okay.
general printing for anyone. And I feel like we
Hmm.
both have that in common, it's different themes. So I think we can go into that. I think another like something that's on my mind that I have a feeling you would agree with in many ways is I feel like we've now entered this era of printer commoditization,
Hmm.
and I think it's a interesting theme to explore because like no one's saying it out loud. So if you're looking for a theme, that's something that I feel like you and I could have a good conversation about. But if we also want to keep it like Mosaic's history, the story, how we got here, what do you think?
I have no problem going into printer commoditization. That sounds like a great spot to start on it all, actually. Because you guys are interesting because you're a printer company. So printer commoditization should theoretically be sort of bad for you. But how are you viewing that in the context of your industrial systems? If bamboo, well, you guys are effectively the type of machine that like bamboo would be moving up market towards and causing problems for. But you don't sound worried about it. So what's up?
Yeah, I think that's a great segue if we want to
Yeah,
jump in. But long
let's do
story
it.
short, it's like, yeah, okay, let's get into it.
Go for it. Well, yeah. So, in the context of like, yes, printer commoditization, where really high quality printing is now possible with very low cost machines, you guys operate an industrial system that's able to do automation and overnighting. And I kind of refer to your guys' stuff as like a print farm in the box. But you're not concerned about low budget machines moving up market and quality and capabilities. So, how are you guys thinking about it?
Yeah, it's a really important question. So when we look at what we do in the market, what our customers come to us for, I think it's important to understand what their problem is. So
Hmm.
they're looking to solve a supply chain problem with additive. And so it's usually about lead time. And again, I'm preaching to the choir here. This is your core business. It's about lead time. It's about customization. And I think, at face value, the system behind me, it's the tangible thing. It's exciting. It's automated. It is a foundational piece of delivering that value. But what we've learned is that the printer by itself is like 20% of what a customer needs to be successful. They need custom software workflows developed. They need certifications and compliance. They need quality systems. They need integrations. They need IP licensing. There's so much that goes on to create those Invisalign level, deeply vertically integrated, valuable, additively produced products that in this era of printer commoditization, it really affects companies that make printers. But for companies like us that develop end-to-end solutions where the printer is a piece of the puzzle, it actually accelerates our journey. It gets a lot more people identifying supply chain problems that can be solved with additive. I can go on for hours. I'll stop there for
Well,
now.
here's the thing. So many of those things are like you mentioned, like the certification and the IP registration and everything else. But all those things are effectively external to what you guys are able to do as a printer company. Or are you expanding effectively into like a consultancy to where you're grabbing more of that stuff and like the printer is the way inroads to the company, but then you're walking them through all of the other steps for effect. I'm going to say billable hours. But, yeah, how do you go
Yeah,
about that?
yeah, in a way. So I'd say for the past 5 years, like consultancy, we call it Mosaic Solutions, has been
Okay.
a major part of our revenue and our business. So here's
Okay.
a typical customer journey. So let's start with an application that I think a lot of people have seen before, which would be like custom medical devices, AFOs, lower limb prosthetics, or foot orthotics to keep it really simple. So you're a
Mhm.
business, you manufacture either outsourcing to China or you CNC mill class by hand. You're struggling with consistency with labor. You're looking to use additive. So you go on Google and you're like, all right, I can buy printers, but I don't really know where to get started. So you come to Mosaic because you're attracted to the automation of the solution. And then we can kind of say, hey, you know what? We can come in for a couple of weeks. We can tie into your ERP, your MES, all your systems. We can connect you to the vendors you need. We can get you the licenses to different pieces of technology and IP that are needed to make a medically certified foot orthotic. We can do that for you in like 2 weeks. Um, Versus you could go do it yourself over a couple of years, but you look at the ROI, it makes a lot of sense to work with a business like us that can come in. We've done it before. We can customize to a degree, but give them a fully developed end-to-end solution. Again, where printing is integral to the value delivery, but it's only like 20% of the process. And so that's sort of how it's different. And you rinse and repeat that across the 4 or 5 core applications that Mosaic is focused on. That's how we're able to differentiate. And so it's not that somebody can't go buy cheap printers and build it themselves. It'll just take them a really long time and they'll get outpaced by someone like us who puts significant capital and divides that across the value of hundreds of customers per application. Does that answer the question? Because I think it's a really important one.
That answers the question. There's a couple of follow ups go inside of there though. Um, I don't want to go for the 20% thing right now, but the context of so this is interesting because within the 3D printing industry, or well, I'll say the 3D printing community because the industry and the community are two separate things. But the community, which of course has always been born from this Uber DIY mindset, everybody's like, the machine is cheaper. I gotta get the machine because I'm gonna go build all of this myself. But like, yes, the people don't recognize the value add of just eliminating work for people because a lot of people don't want to have to do any of this stuff, even at that industrial scale, and especially at that industrial scale, because the value of time is just so important right now that that shortcut from whoever the heck can give it to you is so valuable, especially from a corporate mindset. If you have a supply
Yeah.
chain problem right now, you do not have 2 years to figure the stuff out or the risk tolerance to deal with the unknown of can we get it figured out, as opposed to you guys saying, here's the recipe. We're not going to tell you all the things we're throwing in the dough, but like, here's the thing that we're going to do, and we're going to call up all our buddies, and they're going to make sure this happens here in 2 weeks. So that value proposition is enormous. However, if the machine is 20% of the whole thing, why not just get rid of the machine? You guys go outsource the machine so that you don't have to deal with all the manufacturing problems of having to make machinery.
Yeah, another really critical one. So there are cases where a customer has systems that they're using and they're able to get value from the cloud platform that manages the end-to-end flow, et cetera, et cetera. But even then, there's a lot of intrinsic value in uh, architecture, in the ability to speak to the systems, in the ability to have specialized post-processing modules built in that aren't available in the open market. Because in the open market, a company like Creality, Bamboo, Anycubic, they don't care to make something that helps a textile manufacturer post-process a textile. It's like so specific. We do because it drives millions of dollars to our business, right? So there's that specialization factor, and then there's the integration factor. 20 years from now, just like in most industries, and like taking a step back, when cars first came out, significant differentiation by fuel consumption and speed and design. When servers came out, could you have the best server? Now it's like it approaches a level of you pay for what you need. You name the industry, iPhones, classic, huge progress in the beginning, and now it's like incremental, so much competition. You look at the physical hardware as more of a commodity. So 20 years from now, I think we'll fully be there. Whereas now we're in there into this intermediary stage where, as a business at least, we've stopped putting all of our emphasis on building the best printer. It's like a printer that's needed to meet the needs, but the deep value comes from everything you build around it. So yeah, to your point, like, is there a world where, partner with another printer company? If that works for the business, we could always do that. But for now, at the speed that printers are developing, and if you look at the intention of broad-based printer manufacturers, the 98% in China, um, there's sort of this intermediary need for control over the system to meet our specific customer needs. And that's the reason that we've been able to deliver unique value with full automation, with the array that isn't necessarily possible for most businesses to achieve with an off-the-shelf printer.
That makes sense. Like we had this conversation with our print farm all the time. People are like, "Why do you build your own machines?" And I'm like, "Because I don't want a consumer product inside of my factory." Like very simply, there's just a product design misalignment in it all. Um, but again, you also mentioned the China thing, which is just you guys are based in Canada. You guys need to have a Canada-based sort of supply chain for this whole thing, just from an internationalization sort of a standpoint, the way the world's moving right now. So maintaining the internal production for that makes sense. Even though I'm going to bet that the machine, well, no, you guys are industrial hardware. So the machine is still a good revenue generator or profit generator in the context of your higher margin, I presume, like consulting services and software and everything else.
In
But yes.
materials and yeah, exactly.
Oh, great job branding the materials, by the way. I'm so happy somebody called a nice engineering material not the name of the material.
Thank
You,
you. Team will
yes.
appreciate that.
Yes, you guys have good branding, and I very much appreciate that. To where you're not using the acronym of the formula. And I'm just like, fantastic. I'm so glad we've broken through this. Um,
Yes.
but yeah, um, go
Sorry.
ahead. What up?
Can we double back on the point you made a few minutes ago around like
Sure.
the I think this is like one of the biggest points that I think it's really difficult for people like you and I in our hobbyist world to understand, which is that,
Mm,
12 years ago, I bought my first printer like at home. I'm printing all the time. There's that hobbyist mindset of like, go buy the best printer, go save the most money. It is always such a wake-up call to talk to our customers. And I will say, the maker in me finds it disheartening when they're like, I don't care. I don't care how the sausage is made. I care about the unique value you deliver. I care that my lead time is 2 months and you can make it 2 days. I care that my waste factor is 98% of foam and you can cut waste to less than 1%. They care about the output. The means of delivery is something that they have teams that care about it. They don't care about it. So the number of times that we've done large deals where the customer doesn't even know what array is, they just know
mhm.
that it delivers the parts they need. And that is
Right.
like such a crazy concept to again, our hobbyist mindset where we're like watching YouTube videos and buying printers. But I cannot emphasize enough that when you look to delivering value to businesses, that end-to-end solution is why I say printing itself is, delivers only a portion of the value. I'm sure you experience this a lot with Teleport as well, where there's probably like different archetypes of customers that care a ton and then some that don't care at all.
There's the one like note I would put on the thing that you just said is not necessarily hobbyist, but an engineer mentality. Because engineers
Yes,
always want to
yes.
build it themselves and love the details of it all, even though it's irrelevant to how the sausage gets made. It's like I want the hot dog. I don't care what your machinery is in the background, but it's a really big deal to you. Great. For us with like teleport and that kind of thing, it's sort of odd because we have the fundamental problem of a print service is that anybody can throw anything at your print service. Like you guys
Yeah.
have been good at finding the niches that you operate within so that you can really optimize those specific workflows. We're in sort of the discovery process of that because if you commit to a certain thing, you'll go broke at a certain period of time if you're not really flexible about it. So we
Yeah.
started really broad and open, and then as we see how people are using with it, we sludge through it, and then we're like, oh, those people, these people are the ones that we need to focus on and keep on expanding because like they're the ones who are being successful. Um, I don't think we've reached the point yet to where people wildly outside of 3D printing are the ones using it because it's still an early adopter kind of a thing. And to be fair, it's only like a year old too, so it just hasn't permeated through the world yet. But it is increasing because like teleport and portals are like they're a print on demand service. The most closely related print on demand kind of stuff is t-shirts and that kind of thing. So we have these guys who were selling t-shirts who are now like plugging teleport into their website and they're like, I gotta find a 3D model somehow. So they're thinking about it, and that's starting to kind of flip through. But yeah, it's still very much in the early adopter homebrew computer club kind of a world where people are just expanding out of like, yeah, I don't want to run a print farm myself. I'm sick and tired of packing these boxes. So great. But expanding from that to where it's more kind of mass market, it will be coming out here over time.
That makes a ton of sense to me. My wife runs a business through Etsy,
Hmm,
printing at home. So it's like even telling her about what you do. It's just like at a certain scale, she will become a customer. It makes
exactly.
sense. And I will say I mean, this is probably a truism of that for most businesses that are disrupting something, but so many parallels between your business and ours. Like
Hmm.
we brought Array to market as the world's first like fully automated filament-based printing system across, I think, 9 countries right now, the most widely used commercial product in this category on the planet. And we started with that broad approach of like,
Right.
if we believe in your business case, do it. We'll support you through it. But over time, we learn where is it super sticky, where are people the most successful, and then we start doubling down on those niches, which I think used to be an unsexy word, but now niches let you focus because the niche might still be a multi-billion-dollar industry, and then we can deliver deeper value for those customers. And I think what you just said is very analogous to that. When you're kind of in that phase of looking for where is it working best, and then over time you can triple down.
Um,
All right.
well, yes, in the context of the pursuit of niches, it does sound dirty and it's so distracting inside of 3D printing because we started out as this thing that can make anything, but which is a terrible business model. But it's like creating the computer and then you're like, I'm building a brain. Let's start on AI without the 40 years of Excel sheets in between. And even right now, like this generalization, almost every engineer or whatever else it was, again, always kind of does it of like, it's so amazing with all the things that it could do that I'm going to design for all the things that it could do. But even today, I see this right now with AI. Like OpenAI started off of like we turned loose this chatbot, and now everybody uses it for everything. But in this moment, they're hiring like Morgan Stanley bankers to train it how to do banking really well and concisely. So they've gone from this super broad, works for the whole planet, figure out how to, it's 80% there for most things, to, okay, here are the main places where we can make some money to keep on increasing revenue in a very focused, controlled, really delightful sort of a way, as opposed to a general purpose sort of a tool. And printing, like you say, is at this transition where it's going from this general purpose kind of a tool that somebody will have in the back collecting dust to this is the thing I use to make these brackets. These are the things I make to make insoles. These are the things that I do, whatever it happens to be. And that'll increase. And then as organizations grab those single beachheads at a time, they can start to aggregate them and just have that expertise. Because even within our industry, there's you guys focusing on these particular areas. Zellerfeld is like, there's $10 billion worth of shoes. We can make just a shoe related workflow. It's good. All those types of things. Because also, when people are working at like the hobbyist level, you don't realize how big the world is and the fact that a single industry for brackets underneath the dashboard of your car is still hundreds of millions of dollars. So you probably just ought to be really good at that, and then maybe you can get broken in without having to split yourself between 50 different things.
Well said. And like to put some numbers to this, I think an example I love using because I think we both know these companies. You look at Stratasys, the inventor of FDM, they've done really
Yep.
well building up the industry. Market cap about 1 billion.
Mm-hmm.
You look at Invisalign, And no one thinks of Invisalign as a 3D printing company, but certainly
Right.
they deliver value using additive as a core part. I think it's 250,000 to 1 million pieces a day that they're printing and then thermoforming. They're
Hmm.
worth 10 billion right now, and a couple
Yep.
of years ago they were worth 70 billion. But if you
Hmm.
look on average over the past 20 years, like significantly higher multiples and higher value as a business than additive itself. And I think that speaks to the power of a niche. And yes, dental
Yep.
aligning is a very specific niche, but it's a massive opportunity. And so, yeah, I think
Yeah.
we're moving towards this world where I think niches are how you win as a business. You build defensibility, you build deeper value. There will be a market for the broad-based additive solution, and I think it's more exciting than ever. Like my dad just bought a printer because it's like it's so easy, it's so affordable. That's great, and that will feed teleport and portals in an amazing
Hmm.
way, and it'll also feed our world because more engineers and folks at their business will identify opportunities for additive to reshape their supply chain. And then when it
Right.
comes to actually scaling, they don't have the skills or time to do it themselves, so they'll look for a solution. So this is the
Right.
golden age. I think we're entering this incredibly exciting next decade that is entirely different than the MakerBot initiated past decade. It's an
Yes.
exciting time to be in the space.
We're reaching a point where there's a commercial ecosystem of like, okay, here's like the variation for you, here's the thing that works for you, and all of us are dancing together, and there's places to go other than Prusa or the other thing. And then you set up a bunch of printers inside your place. But there's the services, the machinery, the bespoke sort of solutions that are also starting to reach actual scale and that kind of stuff to where people can do this in a commercial context and recognize, oh, okay, you can actually make $1 million from that as opposed to a $10,000 Etsy store. Like that is maturity now in the industry, which is a big,
That's
big
right.
deal. But also just people never recognize how slow all this stuff is to take off because printing is effectively like 10 years old, maybe 15 if you really want to go all the way back to 2012, and that's still not 15. And any of these things takes 10 to 20 years to start to be recognized by the world as a whole. And whenever you're a founder in one of these spaces, you're always too early because you're just like, of course, this is going to be the future right now, 10 years ahead of when it is. And you guys have this too because you guys were there as part of the MakerBot world where you were doing multicolor before multicolor was cool. Uh, I actually want to pull at this thread right now. It seems like, well, again, commercially at like the hobbyist level and that kind of stuff, people like multicolor more right now because they seem it to be easier. I think your guys' solution was as good as what the AMS was and better in a lot of different ways. Do you think that there's a different state of the industry at like the hobbyist level to where if you guys came out with the Mosaic again or the palette again, would it do more and better this time or change what your company became, or do you think you would have ended up here still if you like started today?
Well, that's a really good question. Yeah, you know what? I think that we would have ended up here, and I'll tell you why. Um, to your first point, certainly there's a couple orders of magnitude more people printing multicolor today than there was in the past. And we saw this trajectory. Like when we pivoted the business to focus on supply chain innovation with additive instead of sort of building technologies to enable multicolor, um, we looked at the path and our original business was making an accessory that attached to printers, and we saw that there's a fork in the road. We had to ultimately become a printer company to integrate or partner with printer companies to integrate, and the partner thing was really slow and challenging. And building the printer, there was another fork. Do you go low end and you try and commoditize that space, ultimately trying to become the best printer company and the best multicolor? It was a big scope, but unclear of the business model. You sell a printer. If it's a great printer, people don't buy one again. If it's a crappy printer, people don't buy one again. So a
Mm-hmm.
lot of the best companies ended up like in the middle. There's no consumables revenue. There's no way to sustain. There's no software in the space. So we looked and we said, where are we being pulled? Businesses are pulling us for that automation technology into the factory, and there's real value that is lasting. And I think given some of the sort of undercurrents of supply chains moving back to North America, which was happening even before this administration, we said, look, there's $15 trillion of value that will eventually likely make its way back as technology becomes more automated and the benefits of low cost labor sort of deteriorate. So where do we want to be? And I think there could have been exciting markets for both, but we saw a much bigger, higher impact opportunity solving the industrial problem. So I didn't fully answer your question in that could we have built a great business? Probably, but I think the path that we chose was one that we were more confident there was like tangible, durable enterprise value to build around.
That's fair. No, yes, industrial is always great in that direction, but it was a big reinvention of you guys of going from consumer accessory to full hardware stack with an industrial consulting business on the side of it all, effectively, or traditional effective, yeah, industrial sales of all that kind of stuff. Because the servicing contracts are yes, where much of the money is made in a lot of these things. Um, okay, but within that, well, there's a couple other places to go with this whole thing. What was the impetus for you guys to decide to abandon the consumer software to go industrial? Because that is a big transition and big pivot for any sort of a company to be like, yes, we've sold out all these units and we're going to just move on with life to something not totally different, but pretty darn different.
Yeah. Um, I've more gray hairs because we decided to do this, but I'll explain it to you. Like I remember the moments when we made this decision. So here's the state of the business. We're a few years in, we reach profitability, selling pallet, $1,000 consumer accessory. We got really, really good at making reliable, low cost, complicated mechatronic systems, develop the full supply chain, the software stack. And then we started noticing that instead of consumers buying one, we start getting these orders for like 100 from this business, 100 from that business. And we thought it was like, I don't know, we didn't understand why. We started going out to these factories understanding, and what they were doing was automating the material changing of the printer to reshape their supply chain for true end use part production. They figured they couldn't buy expensive printers because the economics didn't work out. They couldn't buy super cheap printers. They needed a middle of the road printer and they needed automation around it. And then we ran the math on it after a few of these cases, and we're like, wait a sec, this might not be like a noise. This might be a signal. We deeply analyzed it and we saw that if you solve the total cost per part problem by automation to reduce labor, a very cost-effective industrial level system, software to manage it all, you can get to a business case that makes a lot of sense. So, as founders, we had strong conviction. Our team became very excited about the opportunity. We spoke to our investors who fully supported an understanding that there was risk with this pivot. And we delved in. But what is not obvious to some people is that the core automated material changing technology that we have our patents on going back to 2014 is what powers the array. So there's this thread of technology that's been constant, and our team pulled off a crazy feat in the scope expansion of getting to the point where we have array around the world being used, producing value. But I cannot underscore enough that, like looking back, it's like, oh, obvious. At the moment, that was a very difficult decision to make, but we ultimately made it because we saw sort of a plateauing of the market size for multicolor accessory, and we saw just a massive orders of magnitude larger opportunity for end use part production at scale. So that's the high level narrative of how we made that expansion of scope and what got us here today as a business.
When you were working on Array originally, how many clients did you have like teed up for it before you guys even finished development of it all? Versus here's Array, and how many people are going to grab it? Which is
Oh,
what a lot of people
tons.
end up doing.
Yeah, no, no, no. We learned, so we actually launched a Kickstarter in 2015. That
Mm-hmm.
was sort of what led to an initial investment round. One of my co-founders, Chris LaBelle, he studied a lot with other successful campaigns and realized that contrary to what you think as a consumer, like a large percentage of your sales are pre-booked before the date you launch.
Mm-hmm.
And that combined with other co-founder Derek Vogt is a very product-centric thinker. It's like, don't build something you think people want. Go talk to them. So
Mm-hmm.
well before Array launched, we had been doing customer interviews, going to their factory, looking at what they're doing, asking them, would you value this for this price? What are your biggest pain points? Should the machine be really attractive or should it just be industrial looking? All these things and if the attractive looking one is going to be another $5,000, is that worth it? All those product centric trade-off decisions that inform the engineering path were pre-validated. And the best part about people that give you feedback is along the journey, it's kind of like, wait a second, when that's done, I'll buy one. And
Mm-hmm.
so we built up this order book so that when we launched, we had case studies, we had customers that, again, were part of an early pilot. Like there was a lot of reliability challenges that we had to overcome, a lot of features that weren't yet built, but we had real customers paying real money to solve their real problems. And that's what allowed us to move a lot faster. Over the years, I've seen a lot of like automated print farms like kind of try to come to market. And it's usually like,
Hmm.
it doesn't happen. So I think one of the reasons we've been successful is we have an incredible team who pulled this off, but also we built for real problems that we pre-validated and had that order book so that when we launched, revenue got going. So astute observation. I think a lot of people don't understand what happens behind the scenes of launching an ecosystem like this.
The value of just setting up a sign-in page with getting somebody's email if they're interested in the thing is highly underrated.
Yeah.
What was the full timeline for bringing Array to market, or like full span of time that it took you guys to bring that to market?
It was expansive and longer than expected. I might be off by like a tiny bit here, but it ended up being, we measure this in years now. So we did the launch. I remember we're filming it. It was like the beginning of the pandemic. So we're like masks
Mm-hmm.
on. So I remember that anchors that as like, 2020 kind of thing, where of course a ton of work happened before then. We then launched into a pilot with like, I think a few folks in Canada, the US, while we got manufacturing set up and built out the rest of the ecosystem. So then I think 2022 started shipping commercial units, feature completion to 2023 through 2023. And then last year was a lot of sort of feature expansion and that beginning of analyzing, okay, where are we winning? What are the deeper use cases? And starting to build deeper value beyond automated printing, which brings us where we are today, which 5 years later, really nicely tuned ecosystem, manufacturing setup. We can deploy one of these in a couple days to customers. They can buy the next 10 and build out their factory within weeks or months.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's again about going deeper to these core applications where we're seeing a lot of success. So it's a long journey. Like you add the couple years of development, we're talking 7 years since that pivot initially happened.
Yeah. Within the context of people expanding their factories, so they get an array, they're like, great, got a bunch of machines. How often does it come through that people will use it as actual replacement for existing types of production? Because in 3D printing, the other thing you're doing is you're fighting with a bunch of 60-year-old engineers who are going to say injection molding is better, and then you have to wait for them to die, and then the new guy will consider 3D printing. But the how what is like the rate of adoption that you guys are having if somebody's saying, great, that's array, great, we're making a part out of it, give us 20 more, we got to make 10,000 pieces a week here off this thing. What is like the rate of occurrence that you're seeing of that?
Yeah. It's a high rate of occurrence by design. Array is not $100, right? It's a
Right.
$80,000 starting ticket price. So customers are only looking at it when they're serious about solving a problem that's valuable for their business. We then
Mm-hmm.
have our application engineering staff that come in, they do the sample parts, they do the costing analysis. So again, we need to see conviction. I don't want to say we're supply constrained, like it's not like we're only selling selectively, but if we don't see the business case, we're very honest with our customers about that
Oh, sure.
because it's not about one array, it's about them expanding their factory to, getting to that 100 arrays per factory within 5 years. That's the way we think about growth. So because we're critical up front, because there's the reasonable ticket price, I think it's a relatively high rate of conversion. Of course, there's cases where like you discover something along the way, business priorities change, there's other innovation, the solution they thought was different, the problem they thought was different or wasn't as painful as they initially calculated. There's always room for that, but ultimately it's like the array is the way in. We make sure it delivers tangible value, and then it's sort of multiplying to put arrays beside that to scale that value over time.
What is your guys' growth limiter right now? Like, what's the biggest bottleneck that you run into scaling this up even more? And yes, getting the 100 machines per factory every 5 years. What is it? Is it a sociological, a supply chain, an engineering? What are of those things? What is slowing you down the most?
Do you want the 10-second answer or the minute answer?
Go for the minute.
It's
We got time.
okay. All right. So I'm gonna go one step back. Let's use orthotics because it's a nice one to talk about. So your business, you hear that additive can shorten your supply chain, can produce parts faster. You're used to 2 weeks. You want to do it in a day. So you know 3D printing is part of that. But what's really critical to understand when it comes to using additive as a end use production tool is that that's the manufacturing layer. But then there's a product layer. What is the thing you're printing? What are the regulations? What does the FDA say? What is
Mm-hmm.
the ISO cytotoxicity requirements? How do you meet that? So there's like
Mm-hmm.
a year of work, could be 6 months, could be 3 years of work that goes into designing the product that's going to be made by the production system. And there's a tight relationship. So critical path normally is that work, but because we've now done that for these core applications, we can skip that step uniquely. Then we get into the adoption of the equipment, training them up. We've gotten really good at that. Again, get it out there in a couple days, get them up and running. It takes time for leadership to take risk. So they take risk with the first system, they see it pay off. And then there's the integrations. So sometimes you do things in like a non-scalable way at first. It's like, all right, like we'll manually do a spreadsheet. But when you want to go from producing 1,000 a day to 100,000 a day, you need the SAP integration, you need the MES. So then there's that time to do that integration. Again, all these things are skills we've had to develop. And then from there, it's the scale up. And I think with a lot of customers we're there now, they don't publicly talk about this. You don't see this often in 3D printing news, but we've kind of gotten through that journey. And so these are the limiting steps. And then there's the optimization stage, which is really exciting. You're so deep in an app, and you can kind of do these 10% changes that, like Pareto, deliver 90% value or 80/20. So there's all these different steps. But again, listening to me say that, or for anyone listening to that, you realize that like printing is related to all those steps, but it's again like 20% of the way that you deliver value through that process. So I keep on hitting that because I think that's one of the biggest things we learned through this journey is that the printer itself is a means to an end. It's part of it, but delivering supply chain innovation through additive is a much bigger problem. So yeah, I think that's the process, and that's why there's a lot of steps that can limit the rate of adoption.
That's totally true because as a separate and totally different manufacturing method, everybody says, "Oh, I'm going to shove my injection molded part through a 3D printer," and then they're ticked at you because it's not of a good part because it's a 3D printed injection molding part rather than a 3D printed part. And that again is just me talking about the manufacturing layer with some DFAM thrown in. Last week when the AWS outage happened, this whole thing was down. And I'll bet there's still a backlog of them clearing everything out to where it's still causing lag on this stuff. Because I know these guys run on it. And I'm sure they're not high priority or paying enough to keep it all rolling compared to Amazon's own stuff. But anyway,
That's fair. Sorry, just
yeah.
because I know this is risky, I have a window open from our first one and it says it's 33%, and then I have another
Hmm.
one from our second chat that's 52%. That's okay? They'll kind of each upload in their own time.
That's what'll happen. Yes. It
Okay,
stores the
cool.
recording effectively locally on your computer there, and then, yes, it'll fully upload it later on. So, yeah, we should be
Brilliant.
fine. Yeah.
Okay.
And yes, we're still recording, so we're good on that. Um, but anyhow, I finished off my thing about yes, the fact that DFAM and the multi-factorness of actually creating a product that's real as opposed to reprinting something that you're going to replace inside your home and that kind of stuff is a very different process. But then you guys are going all the way through into the certifications and that kind of stuff to where you now understand what a 3D printed part has to go through in order to actually become a real product. Since it won't choke a kid and it won't break up and it won't leak all kinds of other stuff into things. Um, with that certification process, was it more difficult or easier than you guys expected? Because again, the average 3D printing person believes that the lead nozzles are gonna kill us all and everything else, or was it much more direct to where you're just like, no, 3D printed part is fine, to where that came through easier than you guys expected?
Oh, okay. I mean, this is it's just the worst. All of this certification stuff. It's so
Yeah. It's
cloudy.
absolutely the worst, but
It's
yes.
the worst. Harder. I'd say harder in both cases. So certifying the product itself, people don't understand how
Mhm.
long and expensive that is. And then
Mhm.
certifying the part itself, every part or each of our customer understands their requirements and what labs they need to use. The thing
Mhm.
is, I think the fact that we could, control the software, the sensory, the materials, the workflow, the nozzles, that gave us a huge edge because we could prove from a quality management system perspective that we can be consistent, but it's
Mhm.
still like an expensive, not sexy, very long process. But I think now that we know how to do it, it's a little faster. Um, yeah, but different for every product, which is crazy.
Different for every single product, but within the process of pursuing those products, did some of it start to click into where you're like, that just kind of went through as there's still tons of paperwork. The entire certification process is always garbage and hell. But were there parts of it that you were just like, we thought that was going to be a big old challenge, but it was just like, it's plastic is plastic is plastic, moving on with life, whatever it was. Were
Right.
there
Yeah.
any of those moments where you were like, that just went through easier than I would have expected?
Yeah, I'd say so. Like, there's some times where you test to a standard and you're like, oh, we already passed. Like,
Mm-hmm.
no work required. But and just briefly here to expand, I think the scope of how I think most would think about this. Most of the products that our customers make are not just a printed part. Like, let's think about an
Mm-hmm.
orthotic as our kind of common theme here. You've got other components. You've got like foam top covers, you've got branding, you've got all these other sort of attachments and modifications. So there's geometry requirements. There's like after 3 million steps, what happens requirements. So a lot of this testing is not just about the printed part; it's about the consistent assembly. Because at the end of the day, our customer's goal is like order in, product out, not
Yes.
part out. And that's what I think separates us from, I guess, in some cases, your world or traditional printing as a service.
Yes, absolutely. Because you guys are actually integrating into someone's factory to where you're producing a single component inside of there that is then going into an assembly effectively at some point down
You
the
got
line.
it.
Which, yes, now you have to look at that final product, as you said before, instead of just the single part. And the part still has to be certified, but it still has to work holistically with the rest of it all. And while it seems
You got it.
dominant, how often in your applications is the printed part the dominant component as opposed to a minor component in the assembly? Orthotics, obviously, it's the yeah, it's the foot of it all. But like in other areas, how often does it come up?
Yeah, critical requirement there. So, um, dominant part, I think the way that we think about that is like contributes to a significant amount of value in the manufacturing of that part. It's not always the
Mm-hmm.
biggest. So, two examples to
Mm-hmm.
show you contrast. A foot orthotic, by volume, the printed part is like, I don't know, maybe a quarter of the part, but because of the anatomical customization required, additive drives significant value because it's able to make the part custom each time. Look
Mm-hmm.
at textiles, probably a $5 shirt in terms of like wholesale price. You put this emblem on, becomes $55. So the
Mm-hmm.
value largely was derived by the branding. So when we manufacture these parts, they command a premium in the process, the ability for our customers to print these on site, on demand versus waiting and ordering at huge MOQs. So it's always
Mm-hmm.
about the applicability of additive to solve the customer pain point, and that needs to be meaningful. But certainly it does not need to be the largest part or it doesn't have to be all of it. If you make that the constraint, then in our experience, we found that like the number of applications that at least we can go after becomes smaller.
So you are targeting applications where the 3D printed part is the highest value thing inside of the general assembly or final product.
Yeah.
That's fair. Okay, so you guys are not going for an array of like, okay, we're going to make the bracket that is critical in whatever this dashboard or bookshelf or whatever else it was, but we're going to make 100 million of those or 100,000, whatever it was, because these are really special bookshelves. You're effectively avoiding those to where the bracket or whatever the item is still the key hero in the product for a large component of it all.
Yeah, and maybe to say that very explicitly, it's like if somebody's injection molding something, we're not replacing that often with array, unless
Okay.
there's a specific need to do that. But there is an interesting case of the maintenance, repair, and operability in factories where they have a digital inventory of 10,000 parts and they consume them on a relatively high basis. So the fact that they can print those on array, that's an amazing time when additive drives significant value. So that's more of like a
Mm-hmm.
very high mix application, whereas a lot of our other apps like textiles or footwear you're printing largely the same type of product. It's just being customized in a certain way. Um, so I think that complements what you're saying.
So, what are the categories of industries that you guys are focusing on? You had mentioned alluded to it before with like five. What are they right now?
Yeah. Medical devices and products is one where we're seeing a lot of traction. So foot orthotics, thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands being made frequently and on people's feet. That's a great one. There's a huge expansion there in terms of ankle foot orthotics, lower than prosthetics. So that's an area of concentration that we've been able to really grow. The textile space, so customizing emblems, patches. We've developed a tech stack. So that's an exciting one that's growing nicely. Foam replacement. You've probably seen this before. Think like what Adidas did in terms of that component of the shoe. Within the
Mm-hmm.
foam replacement category, there's a ton of different use cases. We're starting with foam packaging, very wasteful manufacturing method, whereas when you print it,
Mm-hmm.
there's almost no waste. So premium,
Mm-hmm.
think like hard
Yeah.
cases. And
Yes.
then we have what's called the applications database of about 100 applications that customers are doing, and we're constantly analyzing them, figuring out what are the ones that make a lot of sense. A lot in defense right now, which makes sense. A lot in supply chains for maintenance, repair, and operability of factories. So, gun to my head, those are sort of the five biggest areas where I think over the next 3 to 5 years we'll really have a dominant position. But we're constantly evaluating what are the changing needs of the consumer, of businesses. How can we leverage the technology stack we've built to use that as a competitive advantage to add the next one? But what I think is critical is like 5 years from now, we're not doing 100. We're not even doing 10. we're going to be winning at five. And that's the level of balance of focus. We're not just going to do one. We don't see one where the market's big enough to focus on a single one, but we also think that more than five would be really dangerous in terms of diluting focus. So that's sort of how we're thinking about it. But those are the key applications that we're focused on right now.
Okay, that's fair. And yes, the military is always overrated with everybody. Again, for you guys as a native Canadian company, just the fact that you made software on this side of the ocean, people really like that in the military. So it's super valuable for all of them to just have, yes, a tech infrastructure that they know is reliable or, yeah, local.
You got it.
So what are you guys planning to do over the next 5 to 10 years?
Yeah. So over the next 5 to 10 years, we're ultimately focused on going much deeper on each application. So it started with automated printing as the central pain point. Then it's tying into the software systems. Now it's layering technologies. Like additive will keep on getting better and better. We'll make sure that we're sort of staying up to pace. But it's layering other post-processing technologies and automation technologies that go not from automated printing, but to automated order to finished product. And to the
Mm-hmm.
extent that we can do that, we can drive more value for our customer. We can build a more valuable business. So, it's all about going deeper in those core applications. And the ways that we do that is like tripling down on technologies like Array on the automated hardware, but also the software that ties this into the factory. I think it's often overlooked, but I know you've built it, you get it. So, so critical. So you're going to see Mosaic just on our mission of reshaping supply chains with on-demand additive at scale. We're going to continue to triple down on that. No, no big pivots for the business like we did 5 years ago. We've really found our sweet spot. Such a huge market ahead of us. So many tailwinds encouraging businesses to reshape their supply chain and onshore quickly. So that's the space that we're very focused on.
I'm going to push you on that a little bit more.
Yeah.
The absolutely the integration of it all and the expansion of it all. But you guys you're not going to make the fabric for the top of the insole or anything along those lines, or are you guys wanting to expand that far to where it's like, okay, orthotics, we have an entire orthotics workflow from gluing the top layer on it to printing the insole to yes, plugging it into your factory. Are you guys expanding that far to where you're effectively going outside of industry but creating this entire workflow, or are you trying to deepen just the workflow within the 3D printed componentry?
The former. So the full
Okay.
workflow, and that is a continuum. Let me give you a couple quick examples. In the
Sure.
textile space, we invented a hot melt adhesive filament. So it's like novel material. No one really has ever had any need for this, but we did that, but put it in a filament form. So that's definitely closer to additive. Whereas to your last example in orthotics, we find that again, a lot of customers don't care how the sausage is made. They want an end-to-end solution. And so
Mm-hmm.
delivering them a qualified vendor for top cover material, that just cuts out one step that helps them create value and sort of reduce time to value. So yeah, there's nothing saying that we're stopping at additive. We're looking at the end-to-end workflow where additive creates dominant value, but we are looking and now offering that end-to-end solution, which includes things outside of additive as well.
So, in the context of the strategy of it all, obviously you have the 5 categories of things which are focused in that direction, but now vertically you're going back into, I'm going to say infinity to over exaggerate what it is, because you have consulting, machinery, fabrics, textiles, printing, all stacked within there, which are still individual areas of expertise that you have to manage. So, how are you manage that now vertical integration that can diversify you into interoperability?
Yeah, it well framed. It's commitment to the vision and the mission. Like reshaping supply chains, we understand deeply what is needed. We will not take on anything more than what's needed. And as you laid out, all of those levels of the stack are needed. That's why there's really only like love what Zellerfeld's doing. It's a great example where they focus. Love what Invisalign's been able to do. Love what Adidas and Carbon did. But there's like 10 or 20 examples. There's not 100,000. Part of the reason is that it takes all of those layers to deliver value. So for us to win at our vision of sort of this future where things are made around the corner in factories just like yours, we need to overcome the adoption barriers by delivering those complete solutions. So, it's an amazing team. We have an incredible team of focused, talented engineers, marketers, you name it, who are understand the problem deeply and commit everything they have to be obsessed with the problem and then deliver solutions that meet the need of that problem. And it's only through that focus of not being a printer company, but delivering end-to-end solutions to reshape supply chains that we've been able to have this success. So it's focus, an amazing team, commitment to the mission that has allowed us to be successful to date and will allow us to continue to grow in the next 5 to 10 years.
Cool. Well, sounds good. We'll wrap it up there then.